Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. I'm Ty Glenn. Hope you guys are having a great Friday. Got lots of NHL news to discuss, so make sure that you stay tuned in to the end of this episode. And as always, do me a favor. If this is your first time checking out the podcast, first time hearing about the podcast, first time listening to the podcast, whatever the case may be, do me a favor. Hit that like, subscribe button on the Hockey Talk with TG podcast YouTube channel. And if you are listening on audio platform, make sure to follow me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. We are with you guys every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11:30 a.m. to noon Central Time, 12:30 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure to hit that follow button, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button so other people can come check out the podcast too. Your friends, your family, other relatives, they can come check out the Hockey Talk with TG podcast as well, and then they can share it as well. So make sure to hit that share button. Also hit that notification bell button as well so you can stay up to date on the latest episodes of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast, so you can stay up to date on the latest NHL news, teams, players, stats, and all that other good stuff, other in-depth analysis that I bring on the Hockey Talk with TG podcast that you will never find nowhere else. This is your number one podcast, number one podcast for all things hockey. So make sure that you follow the Hockey Talk with TG podcast today. And like I said, share it with everybody else so they can come check out the podcast as well, so they can come listen and then they can share it as well. Let's grow the podcast together. So make sure that you guys are doing all those things whenever you listen to the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Please and thank you. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started into the NHL news for today. We'll start things off with the Washington Capitals taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins, Alex Ovechkin versus Sidney Crosby. And it'll be the Penguins coming out with the 5-3 win over the Washington Capitals. And Sidney Crosby scored twice in that game, both of Sid's goals coming on the power play, both of them being in the first period for his 10th and 11th goal of the season. His second goal was, of course, his 11th goal of the season, and that tied him for first place in the league of goals. And fun fact, they did show this on NHL Network. They had this on the NHL.com website. Sidney Crosby is the third player to score in the third fewest games. Well, hold on, let me say it. I don't know if I'm saying this right. Sidney Crosby is the third player to reach 10 goals in a season by a player age 38 or older in NHL history, behind Gordie, Howe, who did it in 12 games in the 1967-68 season, and his good old buddy and rival and foe, Alex Ovechkin, who did it in 14 games last season. Sidney Crosby now has 127 points in his matchups over the years against Alex Ovechkin. This is their 99th time, including regular season and playoffs, that these two players and foes have faced off against each other. But yeah, Sid has 127 points in those matchups against Alex Ovechkin, 48 goals, 79 assists for 127 points in his matchups against Alex Ovechkin. I think this is the 49th regular season matchup, I should say. I believe 49th regular season matchup between Sid and Ovi, and 99th time overall, including regular season and playoffs. But the Penguins moved to 9-4-2 of the season following their 5-3 win over the Washington Capitals. The Penguins jumped out to a 3-0 lead. Like I said, Sidney Crosby had 2 power play goals in this one. Anthony Mantha added a goal for the Pittsburgh Penguins, scored in the second period to make it 3-0. Scored on the backhand 2 minutes and 8 seconds in the second period for his 7th goal of the season. Now this is where it gets tricky, because the Penguins had a 3-0 lead in their game against Toronto on, I believe that was on Monday, correct me if I'm wrong, and the Maple Leafs came back and won that game 4-3. the same scenario will fall into this game as Dylan Strome, Rasmus Sandin, and Tom Wilson all scored for the Capitals to tie the game up at 3. So the Penguins at this point of the game are in the same spot as they were in last game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I don't know. So Pittsburgh is going to start putting on the worry button. I don't know if that makes sense or not. In this scenario, Dylan Strome, he picked up 2 assists for a 3-point night. Also, Ovechkin picked up 2 assists in the win, in the loss for the Capitals. One day after scoring his 900 career NHL goal. Of course, we talked about that on yesterday's episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Make sure to check out that episode if you have not already. Ovi now has 103 points in his matchups against Sidney Crosby, 53 goals, 50 assists for 103 points in his matchups against Sidney Crosby. Each of them recorded a point while playing against each other in this game. Again, 49th time in the regular season, I believe, that they have played against each other. And then 99th time overall, if you count regular season and playoffs, that these two have played against each other. But yeah, that's where it got tricky for the Pittsburgh Penguins because, like I said, a 3-0 lead against the Toronto Maple Leafs. I believe this was a Monday game. And they lost the lead and they lost the game. But the Penguins broke through again in the third period as Brian Russ broke the tie midway through the third period. I believe he was credited for the game-winning goal in the game because the other Penguins goal that made it 5-3 was an empty netter, so it had to make sense that Brian Russ was credited for the game-winning goal in this one. He scored with 8 minutes and 44 seconds remaining in the third period. Scored on the power play as well. A nice cross-side speed from the Gordie Malkin, and Brian Russ one times it in on the power play. He also finished with 2 assists for a 3-point night. And the Penguins, I believe, they finished 3 for 5 on the power play in this one because Sid with the 2 power play goals in the first, Brian Russ with a power play goal in this one. And I believe they had like 2 other chances, if not 3, because I don't know if they had another power play after that, which means they would finish 3 for 6. But I believe it was 3 for 5 in this one. Connor Dewar had the empty net goal for Pittsburgh to seal the deal with 2 minutes and 4 seconds remaining in the third period. And Artis Seversauce made 28 saves on 31 shots faced in net for the Penguins. And Charlie Lindgren made 26 saves on 30 shots faced in net for the Capitals. Caps have lost 5 of their past 6 games, 1-4-1 during the span, and they moved to 7-6-1 of the season. But they continue their 4-game road trip on Saturday against the Tampa Bay Lightning at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. The Penguins will be in New Jersey against the Devils on Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Central Time. So that'll be a morning game right there for Pens fans to watch against the New Jersey Devils. This will also be a back-to-back weekend set for the Pittsburgh Penguins. They will play against the LA Kings on Sunday at 1 o'clock p.m. Central Time. But moving on from the Steel City to the Lone Star State, the Anaheim Ducks put up a 7 spot again in their 7-5 win over the Dallas Stars in Dallas on Thursday. Again, this is the second time that the Ducks have put up 7 goals. Of course, they put up 7 goals against the Florida Panthers on Tuesday night, I believe. 7-3 win over the Florida Panthers on Tuesday. Now they put up 7 goals against the Dallas Stars on Thursday. So I believe it's the first time in franchise history that they have done this. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Ducks have won 5 in a row. They won 7 of the 8 games, and they improved to 9-3-1 of the season. The Quack Attack is back. The Ducks are now mighty again. Joe Quenneville has turned this team around. And I know for some of you this may be an overreaction, but for me, Joe Quenneville, during his time with the Blackhawks, turned that team around, helped us win 3 Stanley Cups in the 2010s, and he's certainly doing a great job with this Anaheim Ducks young team. If he did a great job with the Blackhawks in 2010s, I know that he's going to do a good job with the Ducks, and I believe the Ducks will make the playoffs this year. Last season, the second half of the season last season wasn't bad. It was like really good. Their first half of the season, not as good, but they finished strong on the second half of the season last year, and they're certainly making strong strides this season as well. So, like I said, as a Blackhawks fan, Joe Quenneville has helped us so much in the 2010s, and I know that he's going to do the same with the Anaheim Ducks. In fact, I am throwing this out there. The Ducks will make the playoffs this year. And for some of you, again, this might be an overreaction. But I believe Joe Quenneville, the Ducks have won 5 in a row. We didn't expect to start from the Anaheim Ducks. Did not expect this from the Anaheim Ducks. But for a coach like Joe Quenneville, who's been in the league longer, I believe he's one of the top 5 coaches in wins. So I believe with his longer tenure in the league, of course he had to sit out for a couple seasons in 2021. Because of the Kyle Beach sexual assault case. But he's been in the league for a long time overall, though. So he knows his game plan. He knows what he's doing. I believe the success will come for the Anaheim Ducks. They will make the playoffs. And yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes from there. Chris Kreider led the way for this game for the Ducks. With a pair of goals in this one. He scored on power play a minute and 16 seconds in the second period. And then he scored again 16 seconds into the third period. And the Ducks' youth was terrific in this win. Ian Moore scored his first career NHL goal off of a Ryan Poehling pass. Carter Gauthier, who is coming off his first career hat trick on Tuesday night against the Florida Panthers. He scored in this one to extend his point streak to 8 games. 15 points during the span, 8 goals, 7 assists for 15 points during the 8-game point streak. He extended his multi-point streak to 4 games, 10 points during that span, 5 goals, 5 assists for 10 points during a multi-point game point streak. Leo Carlson, he had a shorthanded goal in this one for his 6th of the season. Owen Zellweger scored for Anaheim. Mason McTavish had an empty net goal in this one. And Beckett Seneca picked up 2 assists in the win. And Lucas Dostal made 21 saves on 26 shots facing net. So this Ducks team is for real. This Ducks team is for real. It's amazing to watch them. They're one of the fewest young teams in the NHL that I love to watch besides the Sharks, the Canadiens, and, of course, the Chicago Blackhawks. For the Dallas Stars, Wyatt Johnson had 2 goals and assists for a 3-point night. Mikko Rantanen finished with a goal and 2 assists for a 3-point night. And Tyler Seguin and Rope Hintz scored for Dallas as well, while Jake Oettinger made 18 saves on 24 shots faced the net. And the Dallas Stars' 7-game point streak comes to an end, in which they were 4-0-3 during the span, and they moved to 7-4-3 of the season. But they will be in the Music City on Saturday to take on the Predators at 2:30 p.m. Central Time. The Ducks will be in Vegas to take on the VGK, Vegas Golden Knights, on Saturday at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. But moving on from the Star State to the Music City. Excuse me. Moving on from the Star State to the Music City, the Philadelphia Flyers cruised their way past the Nashville Predators with a 3-1 win on Thursday. This was a comeback win for the Flyers. They moved to 8-5-1 in the season. They actually tied with the Maple Leafs for 17 points in the wild card spot. And both teams actually have the same records as well. The Leafs are also 8-5-1 of the season, and they also played 14 games this season as well. So I kind of found that a little bit funny, though. Back-to-back wins for the Flyers after losing 2 straight games. So, yeah, Travis Konecny, he had a goal and an assist in this one for a 2-point night. His goal was an empty net goal. He's currently on a 6-game point streak in which he has 8 points during the span, 4 goals, 4 assists for 8 points during a 6-game point streak for Travis Konechny. Noah Case had the go-ahead goal in this one, breaking the tie with 2 minutes and 23 seconds remaining in the second period, buried it on the rebound off of the shot from Jamie Drysdale. Matvei Michkov had a goal in this one in the second period. Cam York finished with 2 assists, while Dan Vidar made 23 saves on 24 shots faced the net. He's actually 5-0-1 in his career so far against the Nashville Predators, so he loves playing against Nashville. And speaking of the Preds, Ryan O'Reilly scored the lone goal for Nashville in this one, while UC Sauls made 23 saves on 25 shots faced the net. The Predators have lost 3 straight games, so it's still been a struggle for Nashville. And at this point, I don't even know what to say. I have a couple of friends who are Nashville Predators fans, and I know that this season, coming off of what would have been a star season last year based on the acquisition that the Predators got, it is still tough for Nashville. They're 0-2-1 during their 3-game losing streak. They are 5-7-4 of the season. They are looking to bounce back against the Stars on Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Central Time. This will be another home game for the Preds. And the Flyers return home against the Senators on Saturday at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time. But still staying on the Nashville Predators, I said this off air, and like I said, I do have a couple of buddies that are Nashville Predators fans, so I also have been talking to them about it, and why not? And I figured, why not just bring it up on the Hockey Talk with TG podcast? Could Andrew Burnett be the first coach to be fired this season? And the only reason why I say that is because the Predators have not made any changes. They have not won a bunch of games. It's been a struggle coming off of their shocking, disappointing season from last year. That's coming into play this season. It's not a good time to be a Nashville Predators fan. And I hope, and no offense to any of the Predators fans out there, because like I said, I do have a couple of buddies that are Predators fans, but at this point in time, not a good time to be a Predators fan. They keep on struggling. 5-7-4 record. You would think they will try to improve this season, but I think the main reason why they're struggling is because they have an aging core. I mean, you got Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, Philip Forsberg, Roman Josi. That's the aging core right there, an aging core, and they're not showing any signs of momentum. I did hear, at least I heard rumors about the Predators, if they don't fix their problems, they could be going into a rebuilding phase, which I don't know if that's happened yet or not. There were rumors about it, but I can pretty much well see it happening, considering that they have not made any strides in momentum. They have not shown signs of momentum, and they have not made any improvements whatsoever. The frustrations are in the locker room. It is emotional in the locker room right now. But I think one possible reason for why Andrew Burnett is not fired yet from Nashville is because of the nostalgia that is there for the Predators. He did score the first goal in franchise history for the Nashville Predators. And Barry Trotz, he's coached the Predators before. He's now their general manager. So there is nostalgia there for the Nashville Predators. But at this point, when you're struggling like this, a change is very much needed. And I did felt bad for the Predators in their last game coming into this one against the Wild, where the Wild won in overtime. And I put that in quotes because that really wasn't a goal. The net just came off his pegs, and the goal didn't go in, and the referees just said, screw it, we'll give you guys the goal in this one. But overall thoughts, like I said, I had all the answers before for the Nashville Predators and why they kept struggling, what they needed to do to show some signs of improvement, but it's still not there for Nashville. They're still knocking on the door. They're still knocking on the door to see what is up with this group. But I believe the most possible answer is because this is an aging core. Like these players, like the players I said before, Steven Stamkos, Roman Josi, Philip Forsberg, Jonathan Marchessault. and so many others on that team. Like, they're just not producing anymore. Ryan O'Reilly, even though he had a goal in the Predators 3-1 loss to the Flyers, like, they're just not the same guys as they were in their prime. So it's the aging core. But if I were Barry Trotz, I would very much so fire Andrew Burnett and try and make some type of change. And I would probably say go into a rebuild in this one, because it's just not there for Nashville. It's just not working out well for Nashville, and changes are needed. When you're struggling like this, and when you're coming off of a season like last year, a season where you thought, hey, the Predators could be a playoff team this year. They added Steven Stamkos, they added Brady Shea, they added Jonathan Marchessault, they added some of the Stanley Cup caliber, because Stammen won 2 cups in Tampa, 2020, 2021. Marshy won a cup in Vegas in 2023. I was about to say 2018. But the Golden Knights did make it to the Cup final in 2018. It was a 4-1 loss in the series to the Washington Capitals. But Jonathan Marchessault made 2 Stanley Cup finals in his career, as far as I know. Of course, 2018 in Vegas, lost, and then he won a cup in Vegas in 2023. But yeah, you add all this Stanley Cup caliber on your team to give you some type of leverage to make the playoffs, and then you end up having a horrendous season and missing out. And that season is coming into play this season. Like, I don't know what to say about the Predators at this point. I don't know a clear, good, in-depth answer to say about Nashville at this point in time. But yeah, if you're a Predators fan, let me know down in the comments. Or if you have something that you want to add on to my discussion about the Nashville Predators, what they should do at this point in time, let me know down in the comments. Because I had the answers before, and now I don't. Like, I really don't know what else to say about the Predators, what they should do at this point. It's just been a struggle. It's not been a good year or season so far for the Nashville Predators, unless they can pull off some type of miracle heading into the second half of the season. I just don't see how the Predators can do well this year. But yeah, it's just been tough for the Predators, and we'll see what happens throughout the rest of the season. But it could very much so be another playoff miss for the Predators this year. Moving on from the Music City to Newark, New Jersey. Jesper Bratt, he scores the overtime game-winning goal as the New Jersey Devils win 4-3 in overtime against the Montreal Canadiens on Thursday. Scored on the breakaway on the backhand, 1 minute and 33 seconds into overtime. Also picked up an assist for a 2-point night in the win, and the Devils moved to 10-4-0 this season. Fun fact, the New Jersey Devils are the first team this season to win 10 games. And another fun fact, the Devils have not lost a home game at all this season. They are a perfect 6-0-0 at home this season. But the overtime goal for Jesper Bratt was his 5th goal of the season. The Devils did tie it up late in the third period with 1 minute and 7 seconds remaining on a goal from Timo Meier off of a net mount scramble. With the goalie pull for the extra attacker, the Devils capitalized on the chaos. And for Timo Meier, this ended a goal-scoring drought for him, and he did so in a critical moment. Cody Glass scored for the Devils in this game as well. This is his first game back. He missed the past 7 games due to a upper body injury. Andre Palat, Andre Palat also scored for the Devils, while Jacob Markstrom made 16 saves on 19 shots faced the net. And for the Canadiens, Kirby Dach, Jake Evans, and Oliver Kapanen scored for Montreal. Noah Dobson picked up 2 assists in the loss, while Jakub Dobes made 24 saves on 28 shots faced the net. First loss of the season for Jakub Dobes. He was emotional in his interview following the loss. He won his first 6 starts of the season with a 1.97 goals against average and a .930 save percentage. And the Canadiens this was not only an emotional loss for Jakub Dobes, but an emotional loss for the team overall in general. The only reason why I say that is because they have been dominant in overtime this season with overtime wins over the Kraken, over the Predators, and the Flames, and so many other opponents. They won their first 5 games into overtime this season. And in this game, they came up very well short. They surrendered a goal late in regulation, and they surrendered a goal into overtime. So this was a tough loss for Montreal. This is their first overtime loss this season. But despite that, they're still in good hands. They're still, I believe, first in the Atlantic Division. They have a good record overall this season. They're 9-3-2 this season. So even though this was an emotional loss for them, they still have a good team, and they have a good record. The Devils, or at least I should say the Habs, since I was still talking about them, return home to start a 4-game homestand against the Utah Mammoth on Saturday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. The Devils continue their 3-game homestand against the Penguins on Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Central Time. In a couple of other games from the Thursday slate, the Bruins went 3-2 in overtime against the Senators. Pavel Zacha with the overtime game-winning goal with 5.6 seconds left in overtime. And the Bruins have won 5 in a row. They're now 9-7-0 of the season. So the Bruins, they started off the season not... Well, I think they won like their first 3 games of the season. Then they went on a losing slump, and now they won 5 in a row. They're now 9-7-0 of the season. So even without Brad Marchand, even without Patrice Bergeron, David Krejci, this Bruins team still finds a way to win hockey games. And I thought this team was going to go into a rebuild, not going to lie. But they're winning. All they do is win no matter what. And they're on a winning streak right now, winning 5 in a row. Looks to make it 6 in a row against their familiar foes and rivals, the Toronto Maple Leafs, on Saturday. We're moving on to the next game. The Blues, Bruins Blues. The Blues shut out the Sabres 3-0 on Thursday. Joel Hofer made 28 saves in the shutout win. So Jordan Binnington had to take a seat in this one after surrendering like 3-4 goals in the Blues 6-1 loss to the Capitals on Wednesday. And Alex Ovechkin scored his 900 career NHL goal on him. Binnington put the puck in his pants. Of course, talked about that on Thursday's episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Now he had to sit that game out. But Joel Hofer came into play. Excuse me. Sorry. Joel Hofer came into play for the St. Louis Blues in this one. So a shutout win for the St. Louis Blues. For some reason, Jordan Kyrou was scratched in this game. He entered this game tied for second on the team with 8 points in 14 games, 4 goals, 4 assists for 8 points in 14 games for Jordan Kyrou. And the Hurricanes win 4-3 against the Minnesota Wild. Lightning win 6-3 in Vegas against the VGK Vegas Golden Knights. And the Florida Panthers win 5-2 against the LA Kings. Much needed win for the Florida Panthers because they lost 7-3 the other night to the Anaheim Ducks. So this was a much needed win for the Florida Panthers. Great bounce back win for the Florida Panthers against the LA Kings. But take a look at the NHL games on the slate for today. There's only 4 NHL games on the slate, starting with a Original 6 matchup in the Motor City between the New York Rangers and Detroit Red Wings at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. This will air on NHL Network for you guys to watch. The Rangers, great team on the road, bad team at home. Why is that the case? I don't know. They can't seem to score overall this season, mostly at home. They can't seem to score a lot at home, but they seem more dominant on the road than they do at home. I don't know why is that the case. And then we got the Minnesota Wild taking on the New York Islanders at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And then we got the Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Calgary Flames at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Hopefully we can come out with a win against them. We had a 5-2 win over the Vancouver Canucks on Wednesday. we need the second half of the road trip to come out on a good note. And then we got the Winnipeg Jets taking on Macklin Celebrini in the San Jose Sharks at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And just some other announcements. The Hockey Hall of Fame induction is this weekend. It will be from November 8th to November 10th. It will, of course, be in Toronto because that's where the Hockey Hall of Fame is at. The players that will be inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame will be Jennifer Botterill, hopefully I pronounced that last name right, Zdeno Chara, Brianna Decker, Duncan Keith, Alexander McGinney, and Jumbo Joe Thornton. The builders in this one will be Jack Parker and Danielle Savageau to be inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame this weekend. Hockey Night in Canada games to watch this weekend. Boston Bruins taking on Toronto Maple Leafs, 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Two teams with a lot of history against each other, mostly in the playoffs. So this will be a good Hockey Night in Canada game to watch. Bruins and Maple Leafs, you got the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto. Hockey Hall of Fame induction in Toronto this weekend. And then we got two classic Original Six rivals and foes, the Bruins, the Maple Leafs going at it at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Great Hockey Night in Canada game to watch. Another great Hockey Night in Canada game to watch. Utah Mammoth taking on the Montreal Canadiens at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So Clayton Keller and the Mammoth coming into Montreal taking on Cole Caulfield and the Montreal Canadiens. Canadiens are first in the Atlantic Division with 20 points. The Mammoth are third in the Central Division with 18 points. So both of these teams are top three in their respective divisions. So this should be another great game to watch. The Bell Center is always buzzing. No place that you want to go to spend your day to watch a hockey game on Saturday night than at the Bell Center. And then you got the Colorado Avalanche taking on the Edmonton Oilers at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So Nate Dogg versus McDavid. Nathan McKinnon versus Connor McDavid. Another great game to watch. And then we got the Columbus Blue Jackets taking on the Vancouver Canucks at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So lots of great hockey games to watch this weekend. The Hockey Hall of Fame induction is this weekend. And got some intriguing Hockey Night in Canada games to watch this weekend. So it's going to be a star-studded hockey weekend for sure. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in as always. Really do appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button to the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Make sure to follow the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio so you can stay up to date on the latest episodes of the Hockey Talk TG podcast. We are with you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11:30 a.m. to noon Central Time, 12:30 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure to hit that follow button, hit that like button, hit that subscribe bell, hit that notification button, hit that share button. Share this podcast with your other friends, family, other relatives, uncles, grandmas. Like, make sure to share this podcast so we can grow the podcast together. Really do helps me out. So make sure that you guys share each of these episodes of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast on all your socials and to all your friends and family so they can see it, so they can watch it, so they can listen to it. It really helps me in growing the Hockey Talk with TG podcast in general. So make sure that you are hitting that share button as well. But hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. Hopefully you have a great weekend. Keep God first as always. Be blessed. Enjoy your weekend. Like I said, lots of great hockey games to watch this weekend. We got the induction happening this weekend. We got some great Hockey Night in Canada games happening this weekend. And there are some great games on Sunday to watch as well. So lots of great hockey games to watch this weekend. And I'll see you guys all back on the Hockey Talk with TG podcast on Monday at 11:30 a.m. Central Time. So take care.